Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the weekly Steelchair for Solo Mio. A single stream tonight where it's me discussing. Well, you've already seen the thumbnail, but let's do it one more time. That's right, it's TNA's biggest show of the year. It is Bound for Glory 2024. How are we all? Hope everyone is doing well. We're going to be here for about an hour or so. Well, an hour and a half. I'm just going to talk a little bit of wrestling. However, if you're into other types of sport like football, that's European football, not the American football. If you're into European football, there's some games kicking off right now. You've got Real Madrid versus Barcelona this evening from La Liga. So if that's your peak interest, then watch it. Tonight, however, I'm going to be talking pro wrestling. TNA's Bound for Glory. And looking at it going in, it's been a strong financial year for TNA. I certainly think it could be a little bit better upon reflection. Not from the financial aspect, but from the talent in general. I think they do deserve a bit better. I think when you look at who is available to them, then they certainly should be tying down more. I think there should be a better influx of who comes in and who doesn't. And I think they need to now start going to slightly better arenas, in my opinion. I think if you're getting sellouts of 4,500, then I think realistically you should be trying a bit harder. This is the company that I've watched since day one, so I'm not going to mince words here. I'm not going to barefaced lie. I'm not going to be biased. I'm going to be extremely unbiased. But I'm also going to be direct to the point where some things need to be evaluated. So that's what we're going to do tonight. So, as things stand, this is expected to be the highest attended show of the year for TNA, the highest ticket gate, and pay-per-view success of the year is expected to be the most lucrative. Considering it's TNA's flagship pay-per-view, their biggest of the year, it would be the equivalent of WrestleMania not doing well, or for AEW All In failing. This needs to be both a good show and a good financial show for TNA. Especially when you're going into 2025 as well, where it'll be a full year since the rebrand. And I think when you judge it, it certainly does warrant such interest. Now, I am amongst the TNA faithful, and I know a lot of them on social media as well. And one thing I don't want to get involved in with TNA is any form of tribal perspective. But I think one thing is a strong reflection for this year is how TNA will maintain a level of progress. So I think that's my biggest thing is, can they go into 2025 and beyond, post Bound for Glory, and have an even better year? I believe so. It's just a manner of execution. I think that's the key. It's a manner of execution. What's up, Catherine? How is things going with yourself? It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out what TNA needs to do in 2025. It's bigger arenas and work on that talent roster, because they've only got a select amount of talent that's good. That's good. Just filling up this cup. should have got the bigger can of Red Bull. Yeah, I'm gonna bring up that comment in just a second because I don't disagree. Like I said, it's pure bias, unbiased. Well, not tonight. This comment here. TNA needs to stop letting WWE poach their talent. Well, this is the problem with all promotions. This is a major problem I have with most promotions in general, where they will take talent, and when they take talent, they don't know how to use them. And I think that's my biggest problem. If you don't know how to use a talent, why take them? Especially if you're going to change them about. If you're going to change them about, that means you've got no faith in what they're currently doing. And I think that's a major thing. And that's why certain talent don't work out. Even, ironically enough, talent that are geared towards WWE, and I mean are the WWE mindset, and they don't work out because then WWE go back on it. Or talent that are suited to AEW, and then they go to AEW and they don't actually work out. Or talent that works for New Japan in the same way. The same thing goes for TNA. If they need to make sure their talent roster fits what they want to be 2024 end conclusion and 2025 and beyond. JW, my man, good to see you. He's not the real John Wayne, before anyone asks, but he's my JW. Anthem needs to have a true commitment to the product. I would say they do. I mean, the fact of the matter is, like, the crowds that they've achieved this year definitely cannot be dismissed on Anthem, but also it goes without saying it's a whole wide effort. But I do think Anthem need to step up a little bit more. Like, certain talent contracts need to be extended, and if you are going to lose talent, then get equally good talent to replace them. Don't sign washed up talents like Dana Brooke, who we will be discussing because I'm going to be doing every single match. Also, as well, the clocks will go back tonight from the UK. So just be careful if you are watching this from the UK and you've forgotten, which unfortunately I did. The clocks do go back tonight. So that's going to be juicy. If only I hadn't forgotten, eh? Would have been a whole lot fucking easier. But that's tonight's problem. We'll see. Okay, so I am going to share screen because that's what we do around here. One moment, ladies and gentlemen. Righto. So, where were we? So we have 2 matches on the pre-show. We have the Call Your Shot Gauntlet match, which is a Bound for Glory. It's pretty much a Bound for Glory. You fuck off. Nobody wants to see your face, Eddie Edwards. The Call Your Shot Gauntlet is a staple of the Bound for Glory pay-per-view for the past couple of years. It's a intergender battle royal where the winner can pick any championship they want, and they are given a guaranteed title match on the spot. It's kind of similar to the former Feast or Fire concept that they used to have, and it's similar to WWE's concept of Money in the Bank, except you've got to win a gauntlet match to do it. 20 individuals, men and women. So far, we know that the first man to enter is Kazarian. The last to enter is AJ Francis, or as I call him, AJ Cooking JD from New York, the absolute pedophile. No, he's not, but he's an absolute prick from New York City. We also have the likes of Sammy Callahan, Laredo Kid, Jake Something, and Jason Hotch are all in this matchup. And feel free to dunk any comments on JD from New York in the chat. I'm fully supportive of dunking on that prick. Because again, he's a clown. And he's the worst YouTuber out there. They got the order right, though, in terms of who should start the match and who should be last in. The reason being is because when you look at the main card, Kazarian will be the referee for the world title match, and I actually think it's a bit of a dupe. I listened to his State of AEW with Andrew Ayadala. Andrew was on point. What was he saying? You know what, let's have an intermission. Let's have a short intermission on the preview. What did he say? In fact, I'll go one further. If you want to come top Bound for Glory with me, here you go, guys. If anyone wants to come and top Bound for Glory, links in the chat. What's Catherine saying? Andrew told JD that he was basically hating on AEW for clicks, and they both agreed that AEW could do better with storytelling. Okay, I think that's a reasonable comment. You know, I think when you look at a mixture, I mean, I certainly think JD is a bigger hypocrite than anyone else on this planet. When you look at everything he says, how he conducts himself, his content certainly skyrocketed when AEW came around compared to WWE during the 2017 2018 period. I mean, even 2019, like, his content was just there. Like, people knew his name, but nobody really got on board. And then, well, AEW year one, he certainly got high on AEW, and he was a little bit more for it as far as I'm aware. This is coming from people that I know that have watched his content and that I work with and they spoke to. But I think this is certainly a manner of it, and obviously now I keep seeing him being called out, and it sums him up because his attitude towards certain wrestling companies has shown an incredible level of disrespect, and also his behavior is, it's not even childish, which says a lot. It's not even childish, it's just embarrassing. But JD's been on a kick that TK should step away, and Andrew was like, that would be the same as people saying you need to walk away from your channel, you need to stop telling TK to walk away from his company. Yeah, absolutely. Andrew also told him that his delivery needs work. Damn. And of course, JD's followers shitted on Andrew because he disagreed with JD. See, so somebody gave fair criticism and was holding accountable for who he was on a show with, and he got called out for it. I don't have sound effects, but I know which one I would use, and it would go, I need to add sound effects. When I get my gaming PC, I'll add sound effects. It's an element of control that JD wants. There are this is a thing I've noticed with YouTubers and content creators, and this is something that I refuse to have on this channel, and it will never happen. Is people who like to control others' narratives and control their lives or how they want to act or perceive in a way on the channel. So I don't like how people feel one thing and then that's all that's good, all high and mighty, and then anything else is absolutely terrible. And then I'll get asked, but you constantly critique WWE. Why? Or why does, or even, she's not here tonight, but as an example, but Ailey always criticizes AEW. Why? And well, it's quite simple, really. Why we criticize? It's because we want them to be better. Ailey wants AEW to be better, or AEW to be gone, because she's sick and tired of AEW, which she's always said. Like, she's honest. She doesn't lie. She might be a bit batshit crazy at times, but that's my co-host. She's an ace. Whereas me with WWE, I want WWE to be better in a different way. I want WWE to be better in terms of their balance towards non-in-ring segments that don't involve a wrestling match. I would like them to be a little bit better in terms of how they utilize talent who aren't particularly strong on the mic, but are better in the ring by actually utilizing their strengths with others that are better in the mic and terrible in the ring. It gives you an element of improvement. It gives you an element of working relations, and it allows talent to it gives you a better locker room, and it allows people to be more creatively flexible, which people say some things are just a problem, you know? So that's my top tip for the week, is when you are going to critique something and you're going to make a point on it, don't just say because you don't like it or because you hate who's in charge. Actually give a concrete reason. Give a concrete explanation to why you believe it can be better, or it can stipulate a mark on how you want it to act and be perceived. That's why I would say I would like WWE to be a little bit better in how they manage certain situations, but also they don't rely on the same kind of talent. They let them work a little bit differently. And this whole idea, the WWE way, where you've got to look at the hard cam and suck them all off. Well, no, you don't. Like, the hard cam isn't. That's just there. If you're supposed to, you can work to the camera in different ways. But people have this facade that one way is the only way and it works. Well, it doesn't, because TNA's got their way and it works. AEW have their own way and it works for them. So you've got to allow growth. You can't just shut down one method because it's your perceived favourite, you know? That's what I believe. Andrew also called it IWC on to pick her struggle and stop getting mad when you fantasy book and it does not happen. Yeah, that's a constant bugbearer for me, is the fantasy booking. Because you're never going to truly get what you want. You might get something that you've asked for, but it's not always going to be what you want. Andrew's very level-headed and makes sense and is not biased to one company or another. Good. Just be a wrestling fan. If you want to be a WWE fan, like purely a WWE fan, for example, then just be a WWE fan. But when you're talking about another company and you think you're right because it's not WWE, you're wrong, then be open to accept that a hardcore AEW fan, for example, is going to come back at you and defend it with their lives, just like they would defend WWE like it was their own family. Get what I mean? That's the tribal problem. But that's how you cure tribalism. The right way to cure tribalism is just disassociate once and for all. Just focus on your own thing and enjoy it. However, if you want to be a lover of all promotions, watch what you can, then do it. Because there's nothing wrong with having more wrestling in your life. Just be open to a different way of working and don't have the same expectation. Have a different explanation. Yeah, different expectation, not explanation. You should give it a listen, even if you hate JD. Okay, I'll give it a listen. Back to the show in hand. So, Call Your Shot Gauntlet. Kazarian's up first, and AJ Francis in last. I think the soon-to-be newest. Yeah, good. Have your own thoughts and opinions. Don't be a sheep. That's the worst part. Don't become a sheep. I've got my own thoughts. I don't let anyone decide for me. I will never let anyone decide for me. What I see is, and what I think is my own. I'm not controlled. The Call Your Shot Gauntlet. Yeah, I have the same winner. I have Kaz as well. And the reason why is because I think Kaz will immediately, whoever wins the main event, he will instantly cash that opportunity in and leave Bound for Glory World Champion. Now, I said it at the start of the year, and I said it on Twitter as well, that I said either Kaz would wrestle AJ Styles at Bound for Glory, original versus original, to celebrate 20 years of Impact, and obviously 22 years of the company, but also it's the fact that we're almost, next year's 20 years of Bound for Glory. But it's just the importance of the match where it's two originals, and it's the 1 year since returning to being called TNA. Or Kazarian leaves as world champion, and right now I am 50-50 away from getting that. I think if you don't put it on him, then one of two things has to happen. One is he wins the Call Your Shot, but then he doesn't cash in on the winner. He says that he will wait and then he'll come after them. Or two, you give it to Speedball Mike Bailey or Josh Alexander, and you let them win the World Championship. I have a thought about the main event. Like, I have a very specific opinion on the main event, and I'm gonna bring up when we discuss it very shortly. But I am going to go for Kazarian to win, though. But I think if Kazarian doesn't win it, then Josh Alexander, I think, wins it. Next match is Ash by Elegance and Heather with Elegance, as she's been renamed from Heather Reckless, with the Personal Concierge versus Zaya Brookside and Brinley Reece. I'm just going to say this now. If you really need a push, watch this match. Sorry, don't watch this match. Because this is a waste. This is a waste of expectation. Like, who the fuck is this woman? Like, Brinley Reece, who the hell is she? You know what I mean? Like, she's a nobody. Why is a nobody on a TNA pay-per-view? Like, get lost. Ash by Elegance, awful. Doesn't work. Not a good promo. Can't sell for toffee. Doesn't have a good match in her. She's only in it for the clout. and she's got nothing going for her, and she's brainwashed people into thinking she's great, and all those clowns call her mother because they're fucking little virgins. This is a match that just offers no enjoyment whatsoever for me. I'm probably gonna watch it, but I'll watch it with one eye open, because frankly, the only good thing about this match is Xia Brookside. And Xia Brookside was fantastic in Stardom. She was great when I've watched her in the UK. But I don't like the fact that she's involved with Ash by Elegance. Again, she deserves better. I don't like this. I think it's just a bad faith. I believe it's a bad faith match. I've got no time for talent like this. There is expected to be talent from NXT, NXT, AAA, and TNA in the Call Your Shot Gauntlet. Lovely. I'm gonna leave this till the end. So I'm gonna start. I need an order. What will we pick? Because I will be reviewing this tomorrow. Yeah, we will start with this. The main division of TNA, the flagship division, the division the company is built on. The TNA X Division title returns to Bound for Glory in Detroit with the absolute tornado worker that is Mike Bailey versus El Hijo del Vikingo of AAA. Mike Bailey obviously won the title at Slammiversary, regained the title after losing it to Zachary Vance, who held it for not very long. It was announced back in mid-September, towards the end of September, that Vikingo would be returning to TNA just for Bound for Glory. He would be a one-off appearance as a special between promotional partners, but his opponent was undisclosed. There was talks that maybe El Hijo de Vikingo, he might have a random match with Josh Alexander. There was rumors that he would have a match with Trey Miguel. Not so bad, to be fair, when you look at it. There was talks about having a match with Moose, Jeff Hardy. There was also talks about having a match as well with Eric Young, and lastly Steve Macklin were all considered for this. But Mike Bailey wasn't, purely because the direction for Mike Bailey they hadn't figured out yet, and I think that's a shame. I think Mike Bailey should be in the TNA World Title main event scene. I think Mike Bailey would make an excellent world champion. I'm a huge fan of Mike Bailey, as you can tell. And I'm thinking this match is likely to get about 15 to 18 minutes. And it's just going to be heavy, hard-hitting action. And I actually like that. I think when you look at style, pound for pound, the advantage goes to Mike Bailey. Pound for pound. But in terms of movement, it's 50-50. Vikingo, when he runs the ropes or his high-flying prowess, does match Mike Bailey, but Mike Bailey's striking power gives him that kind of advantage. So it's a good aerial ground versus a good mixture that Mike Bailey offers. You've got the balanced option of Mike Bailey versus the high flyer in El Hijo de Vikingo, who is a brutal mat wrestler. I'm going to go for a title retain on this one. but I think this has got a very good shout to be match of the night. It's not going to be, in my opinion. I do have my match of the night contender coming up very shortly, but I think this match will be excellent, and I think this is the right match to start the show with. If not, then the next match I'm going to discuss with is what I would start. But yes, I'm going to go Mike Bailey retains on the road, hopefully gets a good reign as champion, and then he will get to exercise option C next year and trades in the X Division title and wins the world title. Hopefully by Slammiversary. He should be TNA World Champion in 2025, if they can hold him that long. Otherwise, I see him either in Maple Leaf for a long term, or I think he might end up in AEW. I'm not sure Mike Bailey ends up in WWE personally, but I'm hoping TNA locks him down. Not to gatekeep from other promotions, but they need a roster themselves on long-term contracts for a good couple of years. So I would lock him down. I would lock him down. Lock him down like he's a prisoner. Don't let him escape. Up next, we have, and we're going to go straight in for it because it is the one that I think everyone's going to be keeping their eyes on. It's this. If my mouse wants to actually bloody behave. The Full Metal Mayhem match, triple threat tag team match for the TNA World Tag Team titles. If you're a WWE fan, you'll know this as a TLC match. Obviously, it's TLC rules, but obviously TNA haven't got the rights to this, so they've came up with their own option. So they called it Full Metal Mayhem. Let's just establish this right now. In terms of involved teams, this makes sense. You have 3 established tag teams. You have tag teams that know how to work with each other and against each other. They have good ring timing, good psychology, and they're not finished. Now, you could make the argument that maybe 2 of these guys are done. And I think that's fair to say. But in a tag team setting, they're more protected. They are far more protected, and that's the Hardys. Now, the system this year have held the titles on 2 occasions, continue to dominate, and yet they have constantly been foiled by ABC. Just the pains in their asses. They can't get away from the ABC. I think this is where you make the bold call. And if TNA does this, they are smart. This is a chance to be smart. I would have. First of all, I think the talent in this you need to keep your eyes on most is Chris Bay. And I say that because he is athletically crazy. His timing in the ring is phenomenal. His moveset is exquisite. He's got a good look. He talks well. And he's got good presence. It's time. It's time for Chris Bay and Ace Austin to split. Not because they're a bad tag team. For me, they're top 5 tag teams in the world. It's time to split them because I think they've just outgrown each other. I think they've outgrown each other in a way that they want to pursue the singles run. Now, unfortunately, that means either you have a turn, or you just have a clean split and you separate the tag team, I think you need a big statement, and you need Chris Bay to turn on Ace Austin and have him run the place. In 2025, Chris Bay should be or competing for the World Championship, and Ace Austin should be X Division champion again. He is far too good. They're both far too good to be stuck in singles. They have got great chemistry. They're 3-time tag team champions. They've never had a bad reign, in my opinion. All 3 reigns have been good. The matches have consistently delivered, but they're outgrown each other. And I'm going to use them as a comparison to Christian Cage and Adam Copeland when they were in WWE as Edge and Christian. They were outgrown each other, and you had to split them up. You had to split them up so they can pursue singles careers. And it was the right decision. Ace Austin and Chris Bay are in their Copeland Cage tag team ready to disband arc. You need to let them go. Let them go, be separate, do their own thing, and just enjoy it. Especially if you're losing potentially the likes of Joe Hendry in 2025. You need someone just as energetic, someone that's just enjoyable in Chris Bay in the main event scene. Also, the same thing with you're going to lose. Nemeth is going to stick around. So there's another replacement as well. Promote from within, and then if you need to look outside and bring someone in. I will get to that question in a minute, Catherine, because I do have a fair answer for it. The system have had a good year as well. Brian Myers continues to show up on shows. He continues to give the best he can in a match. He's certainly better suited to tag team wrestling than singles, and Eddie Edwards just works with anybody. He's a pro. But that's the end of it. And the Hardys are just the Hardys. What more can you say about the Hardys that hasn't been said? They may not be what they used to do, but they used to be, but they're still credible. They're still legends, and rightly so. They deserve to be in this match at Bound for Glory. And I would have Chris Bay turn on Ace Austin, and then I would have Jeff Hardy secure the title belts as champions. I would have the Hardys win tonight, and that's what I'm going with. The Hardys to win the tag team championships. If they don't open the show, then they should. I'd say maybe 3rd or 4th, right in the middle. Now, Catherine asked a very important question. What do I think about Motorcycle Machine Guns win the tag titles? Well, I know this is going to be a Twitter discourse, and I understand that. So I'm happy to divulge my opinion in 1 second. I'm going to tell it to you straight, Catherine. I'm actually going to stop sharing for just a minute. So people can see it right on here, on the larger screen canvas. I know it's a Twitter discourse where people are moaning that people have come into organizations and won championships and they've just taken it, and it's caused an issue with social media fans. But where's the story? Where's the Why is it only for one company? Why is it not for the other for calling them out? See, the annoying thing about when you go on, I was going to bring up a tweet that I put up last night, but what's so annoying about the fact that I've got a thing here that says private for you, 28,000 impressions on your post in the last 7 days. I don't care about analytics on my Twitter posts. They mean nothing. But I do have a tweet that I would like to bring up though. And this is what I think on the matter, and I'm just going to let you guys read it. Because that for me is far more important. I want you to see my understanding of this. And this is, I don't think any other way. I'm not going to change my opinion on this when I bring it up. Oh, and one other thing. J.J. Gale. You're the worst professional wrestler in the world. You've got a debut match in Australia today, and you hid your opponent from the thumbnail. You actually hid your opponent. You're wrestling Marty Scurll. You should be blacklisted from the industry. You absolute scumbag. Here we go. Now, I posted this tweet last night, so this is for you, Catherine. This is what I think about Machine Guns winning titles. So I've put a list of wrestlers. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 15 wrestlers to be exact. Singles and tags. And my tweet is, the right talent in any promotion, taking a title early or within a certain period of time helps. These are examples of those that have done it in the best way possible. And then I follow it by saying, I have no issue with this being done in any promotion. Copeland and Christian Cage have done it too, and have shown their professionalism remains. Kurt Angle did it for 3 separate promotions and helped further establish the title, him and himself, for the promotion, proving he's an asset, but also proving that he's willing to do a job. Instead of people making an issue, find the positive and see where it develops, because that's where you can see a real change. Look at my tweet as well. What do they not have in common? See if anyone can figure out, what do they not have in common? And I'll zoom in again just so you can see the names a little bit clearer. What does each name have in common? If anyone can figure it out, I'll be very impressed. What does each of these have in common with my tweet? If you can't figure it out, don't worry. Because I can tell you. And I know Catherine's smart, so Catherine should figure this out. I know my whole entire live chat and my community is smart, so come on guys, what do you think these names all have in common? No? Okay. I'll tell you. WWE, WCW, NWA, WCW, WWE, WWE, TNA, Ring of Honor, New Japan, NWA, WCW, WWE. Not really, but was there. AEW, TNA, TNA, New Japan, AEW, ECW, WCW, New Japan, WWE, Ring of Honor, every bloody promotion you can think of, WWE, New Japan, TNA, PWG, WWE, New Japan, TNA, New Japan Strong, New Japan, WWE, AEW, WWE, AEW, TNA, TNA, WWE, TNA again, then AEW, New Japan, Ring of Honor, NOAH, PWG, AEW, TNA, ECW, WCW, WWE, TNA, NWA, AWA, WWE, WCW, TNA. They've all competed. What stands apart is they've all competed in multiple major promotions. They've been given a title opportunity, or they've been told to work for a specific title with someone. They've won the title quickly, and they've ran with it. And yet, none of them, when they've done it, have been unprofessional. And they do it for the benefit of the business, the benefit of the promotion, the benefit of themselves, and they do it for the enjoyment of the fans. So why does it have to be an issue? I have no issue with them being tag team champions. Just like I've got no issue with Mercedes Moné being the TBS champion. I think people are just any way they can reacting just to force a fight on social media. When there's talent from all sides celebrating the Machine Guns winning last night. I don't get it. Like, I physically don't get it. Let them enjoy themselves. Let them do the work. Let them do the job. They get paid to do it. That's what I think. Moving on. So I think on this one, I think the Hardys will win, and I'm hoping the ABC will do it. I'm glad they won. I didn't see it coming though. I didn't expect them to win so quickly, but I had them winning. I had them win as well, and I'm glad because it's the right choice, especially if they're going to split DIY. According to Sportskeeda, DIY are in the process of being split, and WrestleLamia. I'm calling you clowns out as well, who are now posting about Braun Breaker with Paul Heyman holding the world title. They're trying to claim that they came up with this. Last time I checked, I've said it more than once before anybody. And you've got WWE fans on there going, great idea. Wow, I didn't think of this. I did. Just saying. Up next, I'm going to go for this one. It's going to be the most violent match on the card based on stipulation, but I don't think it's going to be good from one side, but I think it'll be good in terms of hopefully who wins. And so so this is the Monsters Ball match, a TNA original style match between PCO and Matt Cardona for the TNA Digital Media and International Heavyweight Wrestling Championships of the world. Monsters Ball is basically falls count anywhere, no disqualification, extreme shit, but this for me has to be one of two things. Either Matt Cardona leaves after this and goes and gets a contract elsewhere full time and comes off the Indies because he's been on the Indies too long since leaving WWE. It's time to go back to a major promotion and get a long-term contract because he does deserve it, Matt Cardona. Or PCO loses and that's the end of him. Because the guy's 50 and he keeps wrestling like he's an ECW original. And I think it's time to stop. No more swanton bombs that he does through cinder blocks. Like, the same shit that he does that people criticize TNA for, AEW for example, with syringes or trying to kill people. He does swanton bombs through cinder blocks and barbed wire tables, and there's always a hypocrisy. And I told you I'm not going to be hypocritical towards one promotion over the other. WWE used to do this as well, and they got heavily criticised for it. TNA can stick with the extreme matches, but telling someone to do a swanton bomb through a cinder block is delusional behaviour. You can't defend that. You can't even save a talent from that. If I'd done that, I would, my already screwed up back, I would be fucked for like even worse. I'm fine with people going through tables, using chairs, baseball bats, barbed wire baseball bats. But can we please leave the likes of cheese graters and cinder blocks out of pro wrestling now, please? Like, we don't need it anymore. Like, those days are done. If you agree, put a thumbs up. If you disagree, put a thumbs down. If you do disagree, tell me why you disagree. I'd like to hear your opinions, folks, but I'm going to have Matt Cardona winning this one. And I personally hope that he wins this one. And be done with it. Up next, I'm going to go for the match straight underneath it. So this is the long-serving Moose, who's on a contract till 2028, versus TNA's hotshot main eventer, the return. Well, he's been back in the company for several months now, Mike Santana, who has been fantastic since he's returned to the company. Mike Santana has yet, in my opinion, to put a foot wrong since he's returned. He was unfairly ruled out of the Fatal 5-Way match at Slammiversary. It was won by Nick Nemeth. He was supposed to be in it, but was replaced. He has delivered since he's returning. He's now getting the match with Moose, who cost him the chance to be in that match. So I like the fact that TNA have also built the feud between Moose and Santana since then. And that was 3-4 months ago. So I'm happy that they've maintained consistency, they've maintained a sense of timing, and they've maintained longevity. The only thing is, who do you put over? Now, Mike Santana's in red hot form, but Moose has already won the World Championship this year, has had stellar matches with the championship, and is also in a bit of good momentum himself. So having a winner on this match is actually very hard. And that's why I'm actually looking forward to this one. I, however, have a fun idea. And it's because of the stem cell research. Mr. JBL, or Bradshaw, as he should just go by for the rest of his career. Bradshaw is now pain-free. His own words, from the stem cell research he's had on his body, he is pain-free, and he's looking to get back into pro wrestling. I would like to see, if both Moose and the Hardys lose, if Moose and the system lose, I would disband the faction. Not because it's a terrible faction, but because Moose needs to be with JBL. I would have Moose and JBL together. I think JBL would be the perfect ringman for Moose, especially if he wants to get back to being world champion. But it also lets JBL be a perfect foil for Santana, because I like JBL when JBL believes everybody beneath America is beneath him. In that way, where he believes America are unmatched. They're standalone, the greatest country, as he's said before in great promos in the past, and I like JBL as a heel. If he is capable of going again in the ring, JBL would be a perfect heel for whoever is TNA World Champion, or for anybody that's not American, and you feed them to Moose, and you feed them to JBL, and you let them run the whole bloody thing. It would be direct, it would be effective, it would be strong, and also you would get away with it because Moose calls himself a wrestling god. JBL called himself a wrestling god for years. I like the prospect. You know what I mean? I like that prospect. Otherwise, you have JBL win every single title on the Indies, and then JBL beats Cody Rhodes and becomes WWE champion. I'm all for that too, by the way. One vicious clothesline, Cody Rhodes is pinned, his title reign's over, Cody crybabies everywhere. So don't wank your tears off for me, folks. I'm just having fun. But I would like to see JBL involved somehow, you know what I mean? He's back. Pro wrestling is fun when JBL is around. And nobody can argue that. You know it's true. Pro wrestling is great when JBL is around. We are now going to move on because we have 3 matches left. Yeah, we've got 3 matches. We've got the world title, we've got the knockouts title, and we've got my match of the night. Oh, have I said that already? So let's get to it. Jordan Grace versus Masha Slamovich, the rematch from Bound for Glory 2022, when an unbeaten Masha Slamovich contested for her first Knockouts World title against then champion Jordan Grace and lost. She was pinned in the middle of the ring with a Juggernaut driver and failed to win the title. She's had championship matches against Deonna Purrazzo. She's had championship matches against Mickie James. And now she's getting the second crack at Jordan. She even had a match against Tasha Steelz when Tasha Steelz was champion. And she's not won any singles gold. She has won the TNA Knockouts World Tag Team titles on numerous occasions, which we've actually got to speak about as well. Actually, we're going to speak about that next too. We can do the 2 women's matches, then do Alexander, and then we can do the world title match. So we've got 4 left. Jordan Grace versus Masha Slamovich is a very good rivalry. I like the fact that Jordan Grace has been issued a death warrant. Masha Slamovich is basically targeting all the knockouts. Each one is being served a notice of death, where basically she's going to beat the living shit out of you, and then once she beats you, that's it, you're done. She's running through this roster. This roster needs a serious level of improvement and upgrade. Because when I look at it, there's only 4 talents I like. Welcome, Hassan. How are you? There's only maybe 4 or 5 talents on the Knockouts roster that I like. When 5-6 years ago there was 10. I like them all. Right now I'm struggling because they've mistreated this roster. This used to be something that they were amazing at. Like when everyone thought about women's wrestling, TNA was number 1. It's still the company that has most respect for women in terms of utilization and allowing them to develop and progress. But it's not the best roster anymore. It might still be the best use of women, I believe, but it's not the best roster anymore. You've got 2 top talents. Jordan Grace is your champion, Masha Slamovich. You've got, unfortunately, no Taylor Wilde. She's yet to return. It's undisclosed. Killer Kelly is pregnant. She's due to have her child. Zaya Brookside's a good talent. Rosemary is a good talent. Havoc is still consistently good. She's not great, but she's consistently good. Jodie Fret's not so bad. Danny Luna is a good talent. Wendy Chu is NXT, so I'm not even going to include her. Ash by Elegance is rubbish. You've got Kylan King to come back. She's really good. So whatever happens in the Call Your Shot Gauntlet, I'm hoping we see some women return or women debut. Because again, it's intergender. We might get some surprises, hopefully some long-term talents back with the company during this match. And it would allow it to grow and re-establish itself. So fingers crossed. And also, we know that Jordan Grace is ready for the Royal Rumble. We know that Jordan Grace has got her eyes on the dotted line. She's got her eyes on a TNA contract expiration date, and she's got her eyes firmly on WWE. Jordan Grace this year has had an amazing world title run. She's got the record amount of title defenses in a single run as champion. I've only seen her have 1 bad match, maybe 2. Actually, no, it was 2. The first one was against Ash by Elegance because Ash can't wrestle. And the second one was Tatum Paxley. Every other match I've seen her have, and she's still got, even if a woman still wins it, like the Call Your Shot Gauntlet, she still has Giselle Shaw, who still has her Ultimate X victory as well that she won at Slammiversary. She's yet to cash in with, so she could still walk out as champion as well. I think it's time. If Jordynne Grace is ready to leave, she should not remain champion, and she should not be winning post TNA's biggest show of the year. For me, that would be a slap in the face to the company, it would be a slap in the face to the fans, and it would be a slap in the face to the remaining talent who aren't going anywhere, who are under contract. If Jordynne Grace wins, then she'll end up taking that title as close to as possible to WWE. And I don't personally think she should be. That's just my opinion. Of course, if you disagree, please give your opinion why. I'm not going to dictate your point of view, I'm just giving mine. I personally think that she has to lose. If you're not staying, then you shouldn't be the champion anymore. What's up, Romy One Kenobi? How's it going? But yeah, so just to recap, I've got Mike Bailey to beat El Hijo del Vikingo. I've got Masha Slamovich to beat Jordynne Grace and end her reign. The Hardy Boys to win the tag titles and Ace Austin and Chris Bay to split. I've got Mike Santana to beat Moose. Matt Cardona to beat PCO. Unfortunately, these two twats are going to win. And Call Your Shot Gauntlet, I've got Kazarian to win. We still have 3 matches left. The TNA World title, the Knockouts Tag Team titles, and what I believe will be the match of the night. I believe this will be match of the night at Bound for Glory. Alexander versus Macklin. Romy One Kenobi says, bro, Motorcycle Machine Gun's theme hits different. I gotta give Def Rebel credit. You like it? Okay then. Me personally, I hate it. I hate it. I like the new entrance walkout they've got. I just hate the theme song. Agreed. Grace should drop the title if she has 1 foot at the door. Exactly. If you're not staying, then you shouldn't be world champion. It's ridiculous. It's far too risky. It's a means to an end, and it's sabotage. The Knockouts World Tag Team title match next was Spitfires, Jody Fritt and Danny Luna versus Rosemary and Wendy Choo Choo Train. I'm going to say this now. She's a good talent. She's a good talent. She's okay. She's just so confusing for me. I like that at least they've maintained a level of credibility with the pairings. Rosemary and Wendy Choo makes sense from a character plot sense, where they are both just demented fuckers, but that takes away from Havoc, because that's what Havoc is with what Rosemary as well, but obviously I'm pretty sure she's still injured. Whereas Jody Fritt and Danny Luna are explosive, heavy-hitting, fast, powerful women who will do any means they can to win. And that works. It's a good contrast of styles. Like I do like that. I like a contrast of styles in this match. They're in their second run as champions. because the Knockouts tag team titles go. The Knockouts World Tag Team titles are spun round like a roller coaster. They don't stay with a champion long, which is a critique I have. WWE have got the same problem. They don't like to have long reigns on their tag team championships for the women, which is very concerning. They need to really consider their options here for how they want these titles to be done. The Knockouts World Tag Team titles have been around since 2009, so they are long-standing. I think it's time to bring in a mid-card title. And I think they need to expand this roster with good talent so you can actually work all three championships. But they won't. I'm not looking forward to this one. Like, I'm not looking forward to it at all. It's crap. NXT gets Grace and Hendry on occasion, and TNA gets Wendy Chu. We know who's getting the best out of this partnership. My buds at Covalent TV, I like how they say it. Partnership. WWE are definitely getting the best of their talent. Like, if NXT can get Grace and Hendry, why can't TNA get Ethan Page? Or Roxanne Perez? Or Trick Williams? Obafemi? It's so one-sided, and people are like, but it's for the ratings, it's for the push. That's a weak-ass argument. But they get their talent to be seen. And you can see the talent in TNA. Hell, even Nikita Lyons would be an improvement over Wendy Chu. Nikita Lyons can't even fucking wrestle. The worst thing as well is you've got TNA fans who are so up in arms about this partnership, saying it's great. It's not. TNA's best ever partnership was with New Japan. She's only got one of those, Catherine, and it's the latter. I say this now, like, this. People are saying that TNA's resurgence is only because of WWE. It's not. TNA have worked hard for their sellout crowds, their ratings that they're consistently getting. It's nothing to do with WWE. But WWE are poaching talent. And they're doing it in a way that TNA fans are falling for it, and they're blaming AEW. I still see TNA fans saying, but AEW, it was during lockdown, but they still did nothing for us. The Good Brothers were meant to be going to AEW, but AEW said, no, TNA, you can have the Good Brothers. They gave Kenny Omega, they gave them, like, if anything, AEW recommended TNA to sign Rich Swann. Both promotions had problems. Although instead of Christian, it should have been Omega versus Alexander for the world title, but at least having Christian there was good. My biggest problem is partnerships only seem to favour one because it's the preference. It's never fully exclusive on a 50-50. That's why I like the New Japan partnership with TNA. It worked a whole lot better. It was done right. And there was no... There was no real favoritism to one. Like, for example, you had from 2007 to 2011, TNA was given New Japan, Kurt Angle, AJ Styles, Tom Cole, Christian Cage, Rhino, Jeff Jarrett, Sting, Amazing Red, Homicide, Hernandez, The Machine Guns, Jay Lethal, Beer Money, Jeff Hardy. And New Japan gave TNA Tanahashi, Naito, Okada, Nakamura, Kenta. So you generally got, and they were developing into what it became, apart from Tanahashi, who was already well established, and Naito was just about to return to go and join LIJ, and Okada was becoming, as he was, but obviously he was Okato at the time, which, to be fair, allowed him to develop a character. So he learned that. That was, for me, the best partnership for TNA. 2007 to 2011-12, TNA New Japan. It was perfect. TNA, end this deal if I was you, because all you're doing is letting WWE turn your talent's head, i.e. Grace and her boyfriend Jonathan. It's not even her boyfriend. It's her husband. For me, the pain wouldn't be Jordan Grace or Joe Hendry going to WWE. I think they are ready to go. They've been in TNA for so long. I wish they would stay, but I think it's time for them to go anyway. The one that TNA cannot afford to lose is Josh Alexander. He is their best wrestler by a mile. He is their complete package. Yeah, Hammerstone as well. I think that's the big loss. That's a big loss if that happens. So it's not gatekeeping, it's purely they can't afford to lose them, and they shouldn't be. And Josh Alexander, if he leaves WWE and he ends up in NXT, then that's a waste. But he's got to learn the WWE style. No, he doesn't. No, he doesn't. The guy is literally what they think Chad Gable is. The second coming of Kurt Angle. Josh Alexander is. Speaking of Josh Alexander, we are going to talk about that next. So, I actually agree with that. I would sign him after the show ends. I would. Matt Cardona was an amazing NWA World Champion. He would be perfect right now as TNA World Champion if he could enter the gauntlet and win it and still have his match against PCO. I think it would be clever. I think Kaz will win it anyway, but it would be smart. Josh Alexander versus Steve Macklin. So this is This is a fucking good feud. This has been going around for a couple of years now. Macklin is consistently on Josh Alexander, will not give him a minute's peace. It was formerly when they did this feud last time as a singles match. Macklin was the heel, Alexander was the babyface world champion, record champion in TNA for longest run. He then gets injured before the title match. He gets injured before the match, so he can't have it, and it was going to be a Rebellion, and Macklin was going to beat Josh Alexander. He sadly gets injured, misses time out. He comes back and he beats Macklin on his return. And then he has the match with Alex Shelley for the world title, loses that. Either way, great work. Great work by Josh Alexander. He is in the top 5 of the best professional wrestlers in the world. There's no debate for me. Josh Alexander's in the top 5. Maybe even top 3. Steve Macklin is in the top 20. A couple of years ago, wasn't even close. I would say maybe he was in the 30 to 40s bracket. He's now in the top 20 because he has established his work. He's improved in the ring. His timing is better. His delivery is better. And he's a more complete package. He embodies right now what they need as a serious heavyweight contender. Not just because Josh Alexander is 230, which is a light heavyweight category, but still a good wrestler to be a world champion. But when you look at the bigger heavyweight-esque men that TNA have, the likes of Hammerstone, the likes of Moose, these are big, heavy hitters. Rhino as well. Congratulations as well for Rhino. He's going into the TNA Hall of Fame tonight with Bob Ryder. Like, these are big men. Big bastards. So Steve Macklin is... TNA last had a seriously good range of hitmen, big men, when Callahan, who's still in TNA, wrestled Brian Cage. Hammerstone is I would say TNA's Brock Lesnar or TNA's Brian Cage now. Like the second coming of Brian Cage for them, or Brock Lesnar. Steve Macklin can be either or. I would push him again in the world title scene after Bound for Glory. I think this is going to be match of the night, and I would go one step further. I would give these guys 25 minutes. 25 minutes. Let them run riot. Let them beat the living hell out of each other. And then Josh Alexander beats Steve Macklin with a C4 spike, which for me is the coolest pile driver in wrestling. I would have Alexander go over Macklin, but only just. And I would be okay with that. I like both of them. If whoever wins either or, I'll take it. I don't mind. But I think Alexander should re-sign with TNA. But I would let him re-sign and let him still compete in like some Maple Leaf. I would still let him do some stuff with TNA, with New Japan. If he wants an odd appearance in WWE, let him. But he should still be a long-term TNA star, in my opinion. I want to see my boy Gabe Kidd rock up in TNA. I'd love to see Gabe Kidd in TNA. I love Gabe Kidd. He's so good. Rhino Star's the original ECW title. I'd love to see him rock it at the TNA Hall of Fame. It is possible. He might appear with it. I mean, it's in Detroit. And Rhino is a Michigan man. I think it'd be cool. Or even if he appears in a Detroit Tigers shirt. Maybe. I don't know. But I would like it. I love Rhino. He may not be what he used to be, but he's still a serious powerhouse. And he's enjoyable still. Especially when he just gores the fuck out of you. And now, what we've all been waiting on. Let's not forget Tony Khan is sniffing about Alexander, and the option of New Japan could persuade him. Yeah, it could. I think Josh Alexander will compete in the... I think Josh Alexander at one point will compete in the G1. I think he'll compete in the G1 next year. It's World Championship time. Our final match of the night. TNA World Championship. Scotland's very own Joe Hendry versus the most wanted man in professional wrestling, Nick Nemeth. Nick Nemeth looking like Vince Neil's love child. Yeah, good shout. Nick Nemeth currently is world champion. He has been world champion for a number of months now, which is fucking good considering the least, because I wanted him to win it months ago. Nick Nemeth has been the champion for 3 months. He won it 3 months ago in Canada. At Slammiversary. And that match involved Kazarian, Josh Alexander, Joe Hendry, Champion Moose, Josh Alexander. 6-pack challenge. Well, 6-way elimination match, I should say, not 6-pack challenge. The final 2 compares was Kazarian and Nick Nemeth. This might shock people. I'm going to take a drink first. Nick Nemeth is in my top 3 for Wrestler of the Year. Not TNA Wrestler of the Year. Wrestler of the Year. In general. Across the board. He's in my top 3. Since leaving WWE, Nick Nemeth has won 3 separate championships, and each one he's held, he's lived up to the standard and the expectation that's been asked of him. He defeated David Finlay Jr. eight months ago to become the IWGP Global Champion, which, when you think about it, was impressive. The match itself was excellent. If you haven't seen it, I recommend you go and watch it. It's one of my favorite matches this year. In general, to be fair, it's one of my favorite matches. But just for if you're looking at just 2024 as a landscape, it's one of my favorite matches. David Finlay's an underrated talent. Doesn't get a lot of respect. He deserves it. The Savage King deserves a lot more respect. Nick Nemeth has transformed himself. Nick Nemeth is the best seller in pro wrestling. He bumps better than anybody. Nobody bumps like Nick Nemeth. Nobody sells like Nick Nemeth. Nobody wrestles a match right now in terms of a mixture of style better than Nick Nemeth. Now, that's not me discrediting people from WWE. That's not me discrediting people from New Japan or AEW. Hell, even anyone currently on the indie scene. Like, Nick Nemeth he's got the TNA, WWE, and New Japan styles all formed into one. Right now, if you're actually being honest, this might sound like a wild take, but I think it's a legitimate contender for outside chance. Nick Nemeth right now could well be either the best or one of the best wrestlers in the world. And I'm not saying that I'm not saying that as a wild take. I'm saying that as a legitimate take. He is right now in contention to be one of the best wrestlers in the world. There are obviously some talent better than him, or same level but doing things maybe differently. But I challenge you to come at me in that response to what I've just said. He's either the best or one of the best. He was let down a little bit by WWE because he was somebody who did a job, but he done it better than anybody. I mean, this guy made Goldberg relevant still. You know what I mean? Like, this guy was underappreciated, should have won multiple world titles. The fact that he's won, 5, maybe 6 I think it's 5 or 6 Intercontinental titles he won in WWE, plus a couple of US titles. He did obviously lose the AAA title back in August. He lost it back to Alberto El Patron, or Alberto El Nuncio. JBL did accompany him at ringside. JBL honestly should retain. Like, he should retain himself with Nemeth as well. If it's not Moose, stick with Nemeth. It works. Yeah, he does sell better than a Playboy Mac. He sells better than most sport event tickets. Robo and Kenobi agrees with me. How could WWE waste a great talent like Nemeth? I honestly don't know. And I'll tell you another one. Mustafa Ali. Mustafa Ali was literally, until maybe a month ago, my Wrestler of the Year. So maybe there's a clue. Who's my Wrestler of the Year? I'm surprised no retirement Tommy Dreamer ain't throwing his hat in the ring and competing in NXT. Oh, God almighty. This dude made a career after the Spirit Squad, for fuck's sake. That deserves a trophy on its own, yeah. People were saying Kenny Dykstra was the one that was going to do it. He was the one that was going to be the success. He was the one that's going to be WWE champion, all that. Well, Kenny Dykstra is now an agent. Nick Nemeth is traveling the world being the most wanted man in pro wrestling. And I want to get that most wanted shirt. And I'm going to get another title with him, of course. I want to get a title so I need to add to the title collection. As GBL says, we fight on Friday Night Maggle. Exactly. Here's an interesting one. It is actual fact, but this reminds me of just how good he is now. One of my favourite wrestlers of all time, besides Nick Nemeth, yeah, he is. Nick Nemeth is in my personal favourite list. Is Mr. Perfect. And the way that Nemeth works and sells, he was compared to Kurt Hennig, Mr. Perfect, by Jim Cornette. Take whatever you think of that, if you will. But when you look at how he sells, how he works, his in-ring psychology, and his timing, like, genuinely, Nick Nemeth is 100% the second coming of Kurt Hennig. Nick was also Kerman White's caddy That is a good point. He was. I fucking forgot that. It was so bad. That was awkward. I randomly turned on the fan underneath that I used to, well, the air gun that I used to clear up on stuff, but that was funny. And also as well, here's another thing that Nick Nemeth does better than pretty much 90%, maybe 95% of all wrestling podcasters. And now I'm saying wrestling podcasters because I actually mean the pro wrestling talent. He's the best podcaster. He's got his own channel and he's on Busted Open. I don't like Busted Open, but I like listening to Nick Nemeth. Him and Josh Alexander are the best. Dutch Mantel, third. Actually, no, hold on. Nemeth, Angle, Alexander, Dutch Mantel, Raven, Stevie Richards, RVD. The Undertaker. Actually, no, Shane Douglas, The Undertaker. Chris Jericho, I would say, are the top 10 for wrestling podcasters. Mick Foley used to be, but then he got more into his books. And Steve Austin doesn't do it anymore. Nick Nemeth is good in the ring like Prime Brett, maybe even better. Like Owen. I'd say Nick Nemeth would be more of the Owen Hart ilk. I think he's more of an Owen Hart fan than I'd say he's a Brett fan. Kind of in a way like similar to like Shawn Michaels, like they both work the same way, but I think comparing him to Bret Hart's a massive compliment. No one does it better than him. Rene Dupree's show was good. Rene Dupree's, he's really changed. He used to be really good. Paul London as well, but then they just started randomly abusing companies. I'm like, what the fuck? Like they turned. Like they turned hard. So I'm just making sure I've actually because I want to make sure exactly what Nick Nemeth has got. Yeah, Nick Nemeth, yeah, literally. He was Wrestler of the Year 10 years ago. Give him Wrestler of the Year this year. He was ranked number 9 of the top 500 in 2013. IWGP Global Champion, AAA Mega Champion, 2-time WWE World Heavyweight Champion, most underrated and most improved wrestler in 2011. Won the NXT title when it really needed a shake-up. 6-time Intercontinental Champion, 2-time US Champion, 3-time Tag Team Champions. On the main roster, like when he wasn't part of a faction, and he won the World Tag Team titles with the Clown Group. 22nd Triple Crown in WWE, 2-time Slammy Award because he done that. Money in the Bank winner, 2-time World Heavyweight Champion. You know what I mean? Like when you look at his title records, WWE alone, so that's 2, 3, 9, 11, 13, 14, 15. 15 championships in WWE. And he's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 championships outside. No, 6 championships outside of WWE as well. So he's won 21 separate championships. And yeah, I would have London over Kendrick. Considering based on tweets, yeah. Nick Nemeth is up there as a GOAT. Even Jericho can't touch him. In terms of in-ring work, yes. In terms of modifying or adapting to gimmicks and change of times, Nemeth doesn't touch Jericho on that. But in terms of ring work and going places and further challenging yourself, Nemeth tops Jericho in that dynamic. Nick Nemeth for me is top. I would say he's either number one or he's second or third in the world for all-round pro wrestler. He's just that good. Joe Hendry. Joe. Now, before I do that comment there, yes, please. I want both, and I want Nemeth versus Naito, and Nemeth versus Zack Sabre Jr. I want Nick Nemeth to stay in TNA, but I want Nick Nemeth to still go across promotions and help talent, but also continue to prove why he is that good. Joe Hendry has been given the permission to obviously stay and train at the Performance Center. He's had a lot of appearances on NXT. He's competed. Somebody knows they're Scottish very well, and I know you do, my friend, because you are. Nemeth, we know what he's going to do, or theoretically. Joe Hendry wants WWE, and he has openly tweeted it. He will be ready for the Royal Rumble. Red flag. Joe Hendry, you haven't won a championship in over a year. The Digital Media Championship, to be exact. Now, I met Joe Hendry. Had a good conversation with Joe Hendry. Off the record. Because it was a meet and greet, so it's off the record. And I asked him about TNA, and he says he loves... Well, it was Impact at the time, but obviously this was before the TNA rebrand was coming out. And he loves it. But you can tell he's ready for WWE in that way. Like, he's got his eyes on it. I think, personally, TNA should not have Joe Hendry win the TNA World title. Now, I'm all for my Scots winning championships, just like Gallus at the Royal Rumble. Gallus versus Motorcycle Machine Guns. Hendry got his juice on NXT like Paige's NXT. I think that's a fair way to put it. Now, I'm not going to say a talent shouldn't be allowed to go wherever they want and not be denied an opportunity. But if you want to go to a promotion and you are the company's, you're literally getting so drawn on the company you're in and you've got such an attention, why would you leave now? Why would you leave straight away? Why not wait and see what happens? The Royal Rumble's not going anywhere. Joe Hendry, you run your own school in Scotland. If you go to WWE, how are you going to get to run your wrestling school in Edinburgh? Or the Glasgow branch? Once you go to WWE, that's it. How are you going to manage this? You know, you can't manage it over teams. It won't work. Absolutely. I think him going across overseas would be fun. I think he should consider his options, just like Josh Alexander will. I think Jordan Grace has definitely got her mindset fully on WWE. Go, but just drop your title. Joe Hendry has not held a title in over a year. If he wasn't expiring contract in 2025, and he was staying in TNA, then I would have him win. But he's not. He's ready to go. He's already tweeted about the Royal Rumble, so he knows he wants to go to WWE. Nick Nemeth is your champion. Joe Hendry should lose clean. Or, if Nemeth is staying, you can afford Nemeth to lose at Bound for Glory if Kazarian screws Joe Hendry, if he wins Call Your Shot and Kazarian wins the title, and then after Bound for Glory, Kazarian sends Joe Hendry packing, and then Kazarian versus Nemeth. Bound for Glory is likely to be his last major TNA pay-per-view. This is Nemeth and Joe Hendry, because Nemeth could go back to WWE, but I don't think he will just yet. I think he'll go elsewhere, test himself more, or he'll stay in TNA and continue to grow. Joe Hendry, I really like the man. He's a good guy. He's a good worker. He works hard, and he is doing really well for himself. But I'm being logical. If you are leaving, or you want to go because you've got your eyes on something else, which is 3 months away, the logical thing is, even a 3-month title reign doesn't do the TNA World title any justice. Turning up to the Royal, if he turns around and says, I want to stay in TNA, but I want to compete in the Royal Rumble anyway, then have him win the title, but sign an extension. Sign for 2-3 years. And then you can compete in a Royal Rumble once or twice. Apart from that, don't do TNA dirty like this. I think Nemeth will do Japan a bit more, or even do a bit of AEW, which is more likely. I think Nemeth will be at Wrestle Kingdom, and I think Nemeth will be a part of Tanahashi's retirement tour. But there you have it. I have Nemeth to retain, because I think it's smarter. Otherwise, Kazarian will leave TNA champion. He will leave TNA World. It's either Nemeth or Kazarian will leave Bound for Glory as world champion. That's my thought. Unless Joe Hendry signs a contract extension and just gets given the chance to compete in the Royal Rumble, like Mickie James did and Jordan Grace has done as separate Knockouts champions. Otherwise, if you're leaving, you shouldn't be champion. Guys, thank you very much. I will be, I'm going to be covering that the whole way, including the Wrestle Kingdom match, which we'll be speaking next time. But guys, I'm going to get out here because I've got another show in a couple of minutes. I'll be on United TV, which is Rich Sports Channel, football basis. So if you want to watch that, come along. But I'm going to get out there. Please do like, share, and subscribe. I will be back tomorrow to review Bound for Glory. So in the meantime, stay safe, and I'll see you all tomorrow. And hopefully, we get some shocks, some good ones, and another good pay-per-view by TNA Wrestling as we cross the line. Bye-bye.